Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. I am Mark Pavlich, away in the Grove, the big, sexy Jesse Martineau, and our special guest today, everybody, all the way from Utah, one of my favorite states in the United States, the one and only Clay. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Clay,
sir.
Clay,
Yes,
Clay,
sir.
is Clay Collard ready for this? Are you ready, Clay Collard, for this or what?
I was born ready, man.
Okay, I thought so. Clay, you know what I was always wondering? When we were putting the show together and I was thinking about you, I was like, you were in the UFC, then you went to the PFL, and then when I saw you, when I see you compete, it's like I always feel like you're 1 inch away from here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you know this, but I have a huge MMA background, right? So when I watch people fight, I'm looking at your stuff and I'm like I thought when you fought AJ McKee, I thought you were going to be his biggest problem to date. You tell
Yeah,
me,
man.
you get what I'm saying? Like, it's like
You know,
you got the heart, you got the athleticism, you got everything, but you're just at 1 inch away from the absolute peak, in my opinion.
so I actually recently moved. Before I was staying in Idaho, I was commuting 3 hours. I'd spend 3, 4 days here. I'd commute back and be with my family. So I was doing that for the past like 3 years,
Wow.
and still, fighting for world championships and fighting guys like AJ McKee. So actually, just pretty recently, about a month ago, I decided, you know what, if I can put those extra 3, 4 days in with my coach, focusing on jujitsu and wrestling and these, parts of fighting where I'm lacking a little bit, I think it will make that 1% difference.
That's
So,
it.
yeah, we packed up. I moved my family. My two older boys stayed back with their dad. So that's been tough on the wife, but I'm happy as can be here. I'm 10 minutes from the gym. I'm getting up and I'm working with my wrestling coach Rad Martinez every single morning. We're wrestling every single morning. I'm here and I'm focused, and I don't have that kind of lapse where I go back home in Idaho where there's no mixed martial arts in the entire town.
No.
I'm just running on a treadmill and hitting a heavy bag, which it keeps me in decent shape, but it's not focused to what we're trying to do. My coach isn't there, game planning with me. So yeah, I think it's gonna make all the difference,
Yeah, because Clay, I think you're at the level now where you're not fighting any schmoes. Like, you don't fight schmoes. You're only fighting these kind of guys now, and it's been like that for a while. So it's like, oh, Clay's fighting. Okay, well, he's not. You're not fighting. They're not giving you any gimmies. So you have to take your game to the next level because everybody else that you're fighting is doing that right now.
Yeah, and that's been that 1% margin where the guys are taking me down and they're holding on to me, and I'm having trouble getting away and things like that. I don't think there's a person at my weight on this planet that will stand and trade toe to toe with me. I
No.
I really don't. Um, so I'm just like I gotta spend that extra time focusing on getting away from these big guys trying to hold me down. Um, and I am laser focused. I'm down here. I'm like, I think this is the first time in my career ever that I've been like, you know what, I'm not playing not one bit no more. Like, I want that belt. I want that world championship. My coach says we want that gold money can't buy,
Yeah.
and that's what it's all about. I want to be known as one of the greatest fighters in the world. And I think for the first time ever, I believe it myself.
Oh,
And
there you
and
go.
I'm
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
putting the work in. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm I'm making the right steps. I'm making the right moves, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's all or fucking nothing for me right now, guys."
Good.
So
What initially drew you to MMA? Like, when you were coming up in school, everybody else, you're coming from where you came from. People are into, football, whatever the case may be. Why did you, or wrestling even? Why did you decide to get to this point and go, hey, you know what, man? I love this MMA stuff. I'm going this direction.
so it all started. My mom's actually a huge fight fan. and she was
That's
actually
awesome.
That always helps, eh? When mom likes to see it. Eh?
yeah, she was watching The Ultimate Fighter that season.
Wow.
With Forrest Griffin,
Wow.
Stephen Bonner.
Yeah.
So I was 12 years old, 11, 12 years old, and I told her, Mom, I'm gonna do this one day. And then, I wrestled I wrestled all through high school. I played football. I'm like, I would have loved to play football, but I'm 160 pounds, man. That's just not the move for me. And I was a middle linebacker and a lineman, so I'm like, yeah, there's no way. So I boxed my entire life growing up. So a week after my 18th birthday, they did a show um, in my hometown.
Wow.
I was 18 years old. I was actually still in high school when I had my first fight, and I knocked the kid out in 12 seconds, and that was it. I
You
was
fell in
hooked.
love. You fell in
Yeah,
love.
I was hooked. So I actually fought 3 weekends in a row when I very first started my career. I knocked that kid out, and I was like, I want to fight again. Dad, give me a fight. And there was a fight out in Moab, Utah, and they didn't have any amateur fighters at my weight class, but they had a pro fighter. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm going pro.
Go pro. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going pro. So I went pro, and I beat that guy. And then I'm like, Dad, I want to fight again. Find me a fight, And he found a fight out in Vernal, Utah. So we drove to the other side of the state, and I fought a guy from the Pit Elevated at the time, which that was like the gym here in Utah for years. And I ended up knocking him out in the second. I dropped him with a liver shot. I'm like, Dad, find me another fight, And then I fought a brown belt, and I knew absolutely no jiu-jitsu whatsoever. And he took me down, and I rolled over and went to stand up, and he jumped on my back and threw me in a choke, and I got out of it 2 or 3 times, but he eventually ended up choking me out. And I was like, man, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta learn the rest of this.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Why go to MMA
fighting thing?
Why to go to MMA and not stay boxing then?
Yeah, I figured if I could wrestle the boxers and box the wrestlers, right. Because I was a good wrestler. I think I placed 3rd in state, like 5th in state. I was right there. Boxing again, runner up in Golden Gloves, Silver Gloves. Like I was right there, but I'm like, man, if I could just take this guy down.
See what you're doing though. See what we're talking about right now, because that's what I was thinking about today. Do you see how you keep saying I was right there? I was right there. I was right there. That's something not physical with you. That's nothing to talk about your work ethic. That's nothing to talk about any of that stuff. It's in your coconut. That's the difference, because you have everything. You have the skill, you have the strength, you have all of it. But it's your brain. Even when you're telling us the stories right now, listen, bro, I'm a fan of yours. You understand that, right?
Thank you.
So when you understand that, though, is that you're talking like you're 1 inch away. You were in high school, you were in in all these things, and you are in MMA. But this is now the time. After you're on the Me and Jesse podcast today, I tell everybody this is like a gift from God when you come on this show, because so many people have gone on to great things, because I see what's wrong with people. Listen, I trained 4 or 5 guys that fought in the UFC when I was a kid, and literally none of those guys should ever went to the UFC. But they all had the great athleticism. It's just the mental side of things. Like you said, for the first time after all these fights, that you finally believe that you can do it. You imagine how many fights you got, Clay?
Fucking
how many?
More than anybody, bro.
See how crazy that is, though? See how crazy that is, though? And we're talking about now. Only now you believe. You see, that's what people have.
What
people
changed?
Watching this show.
Yeah,
that's what I'm asking. What, not just what changed, but do you know how many people watch this show all the time and think, oh, I'm done with this shit. I can't do it no more. I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get it right away. And you've been doing this for how long? And you just now finally realize, oh shit, I do got what it takes to get to the mountaintop.
Yeah. So I was the alternate for the fight out in Saudi Arabia, the championship between the Russian and Primus, the guy I lost to. And the Russian knocked Primus out, and I thought his boxing sucks. He don't move his head very well. he hits kind of hard, but it's basic 1-2s, like nothing
Complex.
really. Yeah, he's just. I'm like, dude, I can beat that. I can fucking beat that guy, you know. And I'm sorry, Primus is a great dude. We have great conversations. You know, he's a great grappler. He looked like garbage to me.
Yeah.
In that fight, he looked slow. He looked like he didn't know how to throw a fucking punch. You know, I'm like, man, you just look like dog shit right now. And the Russian was just beating him up, and I'm like, that Russian ain't great.
Yep.
Like he didn't seem great to me. So I think I come home after that, and I'm like, you know, usually after a weight cut, I'll come home, play a little bit, you know, spend time with my family, go out, eat some garbage and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, I don't need none of that. I need to win. So
Yeah.
I think seeing that fight and just realizing like I'm fucking better than these guys, you know? Like I
Do
believe
you think
it.
that's
I
what it
believe
takes
it.
now? Do you think that's what it takes in life with everybody? You got to get so mad at yourself that you almost get pissed off with your own self, and you go, "I am better than this." That's it. It's like
Yeah.
but not just saying it. It's the way you conduct yourself in every day. Now, when you go into the gym, you walk differently to the gym. You train differently.
I'm showing up early. I'm leaving
Ah,
late. I'm stretching out
yeah.
beforehand.
When you're sparring people, what
getting-
about this?
yeah.
What about when you're sparring people? Maybe you don't need to be so polite with everybody when you're sparring with them. Like
my whole demeanor this year is to dominate.
everything.
I'm going to dominate. I don't want to win decisions. I want to knock motherfuckers out cold. I want to start snatching necks and cashing checks. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the whole in training, it's not about showing up and putting in the work. It's about showing up and dominating every single round, every single minute of every round, every single second of every minute of every round. I want to be in control, beating your ass. And so that's my whole demeanor right now. It's just domination.
What do you think the difference is between the UFC and PFL, different talent wise in your weight class? What do you think the gap is? How big or small do you think it is? The gap between the PFL and the UFC?
Not very big. I mean,
Yeah.
you got guys like Anthony Pettis that came over, Jeremy Stevens came over,
Yep.
Burgos came over.
Yep.
You know, you got Primus, who is a Bellator champion. You have Pitbull Patricky and his.
So we're talking
inches.
We're talking inches. We're talking
Yeah,
inches.
yeah. I really think it is. I think the maybe top 5 guys in the UFC
are special.
Yeah, those top 5 guys like Makachev.
Yeah.
And you know, like those guys. But those are the guys I want to be fighting. Those are the type of dudes. I want the toughest motherfucker. Give me the toughest motherfucker who's gonna stand there and throw down with me, and let's get it. Like so. Yeah, I think that the season format makes it extremely tough because you got the point system. You when you're fighting, whether you're a little bit injured or you're like it's just boom, 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 boom. Every 8 weeks you're fighting, and I think that's what makes the tournament so tough.
Yes.
I mean, when I fought Burgos, I broke my hand in the second round. And then I had to get ready for a championship fight 8 weeks later.
Yeah, crazy.
And I think I got cleared the day before
the fight.
Yeah, and I think I still had a fracture in my hand, and I'm like, I told my surgeon, I'm like, if it breaks, you can just fix it again. Like, fucking clear me, bro. Like, I'm not
you gotta
missing
fight.
out.
Yeah.
I'm not missing out on a chance of $1 million. Like, you know, so yeah, that tournament format. And now they're bringing elbows, which I've been waiting for them to bring elbows back.
Of course.
Because I'm a striker, man. And when wrestlers are wrestling on you, if I could throw a couple of these while they're hanging on my leg, it totally changes the game.
Absolutely.
And I haven't had that. So I'm trying to wrestle these guys, and when their head's down there between my legs, I can't
changes
drop
the game.
them.
It changes the game now.
So,
it changes it a lot.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. Don Davis posted like people wanted it. We're bringing it to the tournament. So I think that's what he meant, is they're bringing elbows like into the tournament year round, which I'm like, about fucking time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you
So,
like about the
yeah.
tournament style?
Man, I like to fight a lot. I
Yeah.
like to fight often, like it keeps me sharp, it keeps me going. Um, so just knowing like here's my schedule for the year, like here it is. I got to beat this guy and then stay healthy enough for the next guy and the next guy and then
So
I love
you
that.
know your schedule for next year right now.
If I'm in the tournament, starts in April, you get May off. June you fight, you get a month.
Do you know if you're in the tournament?
I believe so. Yes,
Okay.
I believe I'm back in the tournament. Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
they
that's good.
haven't told me anything otherwise, and as far as I know, I'm coming back. So
Yeah, good.
That's
Good. We don't know anything different either. But I think next week we have Ray Seffel on the show. Isn't he with PFL?
yeah, he's the president.
So,
He's
so,
the man.
so I think
He's
next
actually
week, I think we got him on the show next week. So we're gonna have to ask him. We put people on the spot on our show, and it's important that we do so because then they can't get out of it.
What should we be telling them? What should we ask them for you?
Yeah.
well,
exactly?
The biggest thing is that I'm here in Utah with my coach full time.
That changed everything.
I think that's gonna be the biggest game changer this year. Yeah,
definitely.
it's just so much easier for me. Me and my wife, she didn't want to leave because she knew our two older boys were gonna stay back. And she's like, I've never been without my kids. This is gonna be so hard. And I love my wife to death. I don't want to put heartache on her,
Of course.
But it came to the point where I'm like, baby, I'm the breadwinner. I'm the one bringing the money in, and you are making my job extremely fucking hard. Driving 3 hours, staying 3 days,
do you feel like you owe
driving
her?
back.
Do you feel like you owe her?
Yeah, I made a lot of promises to her.
Do you feel like I'm getting that vibe from you, man? I'm getting that vibe. I'm getting that vibe like you feel like you owe her something now.
Yeah, well, I made a lot of promises when we decided we were gonna move. A lot of promises that I really got to own up to and keep
2025, Clay, 2025. You pay that debt to that girl.
Yes, brother.
You pay that debt to that girl. We're down with you, bro. You got to pay that debt back. And maybe maybe you put that inside your melon when you're training every day about paying her back.
Her and my boys, man.
Yeah, that's right.
They're all making a lot of sacrifices for me to be able to be out here and be with my coach and be with my team and doing what I need to do to become a world champion. So you are 100% right. I am in debt to that beautiful wife of mine.
That's a good but I don't mean it in a weird. I mean it in a good way. Meaning you keep that inside your soul, man. And I'm telling you, that's the one that it'll project you. Trust me, you don't have to worry about your alarm going off in the morning when you owe someone that kind of debt. You don't have no alarm necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get up and you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night in a hot sweat, going, "Oh shit!" And then you could be that guy and go, "Oh, oh my God, poor me." Or you be that guy going, "No shit, I got to pay my debt." And that's and I already know, Clay, you're that kind of guy.
Yeah, man. I've sacrificed more for this sport than anybody I know, and I think now I'm finally in the position mentally, physically to do it. So
you say you're born to do this.
Fuck yeah, I was.
So
I've had very vivid dreams of me like fighting with swords and shit, and I think I was a knight in my past life or some shit, because I definitely have that warrior spirit, and yeah, I feel like this was my calling in life. Like this is my passion, So
what does your days look like now? Because you're training obviously all the time, but what is it like? And is there, I don't know if you're like this, but is there room for anything else besides this?
Very little room. It's 2 to 3 times a day, every single day. I'll take Sundays off, and Sundays are for church. You gotta have the big man upstairs on my
brother.
side.
There we go.
So, it's I miss school things, and I miss Christmases. And I'm at Thanksgiving, I was in Saudi Arabia. My family was here. I give up a lot to do this, and
Any of your
I
church
don't.
friends, any of your church people go to your fights?
So I just recently moved over back to Utah.
Oh,
So
okay, okay, okay.
yeah, I'm getting to know, starting a whole new place. Um, so I'm
Do
sure
they know who you
eventually,
are? Does anybody at church know who you are when you're walking in and they kind of know who you are?
back when I was in Idaho, yeah,
They
I
did.
mean, I've only been here a few weeks, and then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was out in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, this Sunday I'll probably be in a new church, meeting some new people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I guess like I mean, again, you want to be a world champion. Like that's I think that people don't fully understand sacrifice to a level of what you're talking about. Maybe they hear what you're saying and be like, "Oh, well, yeah, maybe," but he really only does a little bit. Like honestly
Yeah, I
though,
mean,
like tell people like what it is.
it's the food you're eating. It's
Yeah.
the time you're going to sleep, the time you're waking up, the time you're getting to practice. It's the time you spend in recovery, resting in between practices. It's me going to my chiropractor and my massage therapist in between practice. Like I'm bouncing boom, 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 and then I'm getting home 9, 10 o'clock at night. Like, hi baby, I'm finally back
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
day. So it's like it's nonstop. It really is. It
Mm,
just if you do take that time to go out and play a little bit, like that, world champions don't do that.
mm,
No.
You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
World champions don't like, oh, it's Friday, Saturday night, let's go out to the club. Like, champions don't do that. Champions go, no, I need to get to bed because I got practice in the morning at this time, and I need enough rest to be able to feel good at that practice. It just takes, yeah, 100% commitment to reach that level that I'm trying to reach, and that's the best.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've had dinner with a bunch of UFC champions, and literally that what you just said there was they never have the feeling of they're missing out. That missing out feeling of like, oh, there's a party going on or there's something going on. They could care less about that kind of stuff. And when I was sitting with them and we were talking about that, they were like, no, they don't care what's going on around. They really don't. They don't care that
yeah,
there's
they're
a party.
locked in,
Yeah,
man.
they don't care that there's a party going on over there. They don't care about none of that stuff. They really don't. And I could see when I was talking to them that it's like they think like people got to know what I'm doing. Like
Hmm.
they'd rather be watching me through a window training than me at a party with them. And that was kind of how they were explaining to me. I said, wow, that actually makes kind of sense because everybody has this feeling of like they're missing something so important. But the only important thing is becoming a world champ.
Yeah, and that took me years to
Mm,
realize.
yeah. That's what I'm wondering in that time,
I
that
was
20s time. Like,
a crazy young man. I liked to go out and do hood rat stuff with my friends, as they
Of course.
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And being a fighter, you have all these people come out the woodwork when you're winning fights and
Yeah,
doing good, and
yeah,
they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
come party with us, come do this with us." And if you're not careful, you can get sucked into that shit. And at times in my life, I have, and I feel like I've grown up enough, having a baby, having my wife, having people depending on me and counting on me to do what's right so I win, because that's how I put food on the table is
Correct.
by winning, right? So yeah, once the baby came and the wife came and the kids came, and I got 4 boys, man. I want to be an example to them. I don't want them to feel like they have to go out and be with their friends and be partying and be doing all this stupid shit, when it's like, no, man, life's about working hard and sacrifice and going after something.
It's funny. We had
And
we had Frank Trigg on this show one time, and Trigg said something that stuck in my head like yesterday. He said, "Mark, I was always this close." You remember that, Jesse, when Frank
Mm-hmm.
Trigg was on
Yeah,
the show,
yeah.
and he was like, I was this close," and we all know Trigg was close like a few times, and he said that that actually to this day still drives him nuts, like that he was this close every time. Now we already know what he said, what Trigg said about how it burned on him, and it burns on him to this day. Okay. Like he wakes up in the middle of the night in hot sweats going, oh, fuck, I was this close. I had Matt Hughes. He was done. Like I was this close to being UFC champion. Now that we know that, we know you going into this next stage of your life right now. That we're on the Me and Jesse podcast. You're sitting in Utah. We know that you don't want to have that feeling 10 years from now while you're playing in the back with your kid. You know what I'm saying? You want to let's make sure that we get this. Forget fucking passion, okay? Passion's for pussies. This is called obsession, my friend. Clay.
Yes, sir.
Listen to me when I tell you this, and I hate swearing on the podcast, but it is. It's fucking, when I hear you say passion, passion's for pussies. Go write your wife a letter that talks about passion. I'm talking about obsession. Obsession is what it takes. It doesn't take passion. It takes obsession. Obsessed with how to do a knee bar, obsessed with how to throw a right hand, obsessed with making sure you double your jab, obsessed with getting up, scrambling around. This is what I'm talking about. You have to forget the passion and start getting obsessed. And you'll see what happens in 2025. We'll all be sitting on top of the mountain together laughing about this conversation today.
Yeah, man. I feel like I'm right there, man. It's an everyday nonstop thing for me. And you know, there have been a few hiccups leading into this and getting there and the move and everything, and now that I'm here and I'm settled and things are kind of calming down, I'm like, let's fucking go.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Forget about losing and only concentrate on winning. So
domination, bro.
Yeah, correct.
Domination.
And when you start putting that in your brain all the time, that's what happens now, right? Because people go, people forget about losing. What about forget it? We're just going to think about, like you said, when you think about dominating people, no, you want to embarrass them. No, I want to embarrass you. You're stupid enough to sign a contract. Yeah,
I want to punk motherfuckers.
You imagine that you signed a contract and my name was on it, and you had the audacity to sign a contract with my name on it,
thinking you're gonna beat me.
That's insanity. That's insanity right there. And if that doesn't make you mad, like people in MMA now, it's so funny. They have to make up to be mad. Everybody has their shtick to pretend that they're mad. That would piss me off naturally. That you actually think in your fucking mind that you could beat a person like me with my brain set. That's insanity to me. Like you have to run it back with certain guys that you've lost to. You have to, because you're having an epiphany. I can tell you're having an epiphany these last 2 or 3 weeks as you move to Utah. Now you got to say to yourself, I'm going to kick some ass here, and then I'm going to run it back with a few people that you got to pass the first time I fought you.
Yeah. Like McGee. I feel like that's a guy. I'm a nightmare matchup with that guy, and my arm was this close to being out of there, and it goes a completely different way. But you got me, and shame on me for letting you.
That's right. I like that.
Who are some of your big inspirations in your life? Do you have a few people that are close to you that you're like, these are the people I go to?
So my coach, number one, Jason Merlich, over the past handful of years, I've lost 2 brothers. I've lost my youngest and my oldest brother. And without that guy in my corner and in my life, like I wouldn't be here today still at this. Like he has, not only what he's done for me in my career and helping me grow as a fighter, but as a man, as a man. And like I've grown closer to God with him. I've grown closer to my family. I'm like just the example he is as a person. I'm like, there's very few people in this world that I look up to because I'm like, most of you are fucking pathetic anyway, But that's a guy I'm like, that's a guy I'm like, man, if I could be half as cool as you are, man, like I'm doing good. So awesome. Yeah, first and foremost him. And then of course my assistant coach Rad Martinez. They're just solid dudes, great fathers, great role models, just somebody you want to be like, those are the guys I'm like, those are my 2 biggest role models, and they're the 2 biggest influences in my life right now. So
sounds like a safe plan. Yeah, sounds like a safe plan.
Yeah, Especially my coach, man. Like I said, man, I don't know where I'd be without that guy. And I left him for a handful of years and was training with another man, Ryan All, and he actually passed away too. But
So you've
yeah,
been dealing. So you've been dealing like this is what people don't know, right? That are watching the show, right? Tonight, they don't understand that like you've been dealing with some stuff on the side, right? Like you're talking about coaches dying, you're talking about brothers dying, you're talking about another brother dying. I mean, there's a lot of death going on.
Yeah, my big brother was my best friend, man.
Yeah.
He was my biggest supporter.
How did he pass, Clay? How did he pass?
He drowned in a river.
Yeah, there you go.
He got caught stuck in some rocks, and
Yeah.
that there was substances involved. You know,
Yeah.
he was drinking, and I was right there. I could get my hand on him, and I was trying to get him out of there. And it took about 8 of us with a rope tied around his arm before we were able to pull him out of there. So,
Wow.
yeah, very traumatizing experience.
Exactly.
How old are you when that happened?
That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was getting ready to fly out to New York for being the alternate for a fight, and he was supposed to be coming out there with me. We went to the river the day before. We were supposed to leave just to have a good time, and yeah, so
Jeez.
yeah, this is the part of the Clay Collard story that I don't really like to talk about, but I feel like I need to, you know.
Oh yeah, of course.
I think so too. I mean honestly, like you overcoming some things like that, like I mean that makes you stronger in a way that other people just don't have.
Yeah, you know, I can't express how much that has changed me
Of course,
as a person. So.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about it though, right? As I get older, because I'm older now, Clay. I know I look younger, but I'm older. You know what the crazy part is? I call it setting yourself free, because we don't do it as men. We don't do it. We don't want to burden people with our bullshit. We don't want to burden people with, oh, poor me.
Even when we're in actual serious pain, we don't want to bug
that's what I'm
people with
saying, right? But I think now it's so funny because I think it's important to do that. I do. And I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud because we never do it. Right. So it's like you gotta get it off your chest. You gotta move forward from things. And like this only happened 2-3 years ago. Right. It's funny. It's, my dad, and I'll say it on the show. My dad, when he was younger, saw his father kill himself, and he hung himself. And my father found him on Christmas. And one day, and the reason why I'm telling you this story is because one day my dad says to me, I think about that lots, Mark. To me, my dad says that to me, and I said, Dad, I think you have PTSD. And my dad's like, What's that? You see what I'm saying? Saw his father kill himself. And you understand what I'm telling you right now. Like you
have to process the trauma, man.
That's right. That's what I'm talking.
If you don't work through it, it's gonna be a demon hanging onto your back nonstop, and
that's my point.
Yeah, after that, I went right into another season, and I was fighting, and I was still fucking depressed. Like,
yeah, of course,
my best friend, So just the fact that I'm still fucking here, like any of the fucking haters or doubters, like go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Pardon my language.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, I agree because I think that's like
they don't know what I've been through to be here.
Correct.
They don't know what. And the fact that I'm still inches, man. It's inches, and most of the time the guys aren't even really beating me up. They're just holding me down.
That's right.
So it's like.
How do you counter that part? How do you counter that part? Because they're gonna try. They're gonna don't stand with this guy, and that they don't.
Yeah,
it's like you don't pitch to someone in their hot zone. So
you're not.
You stay away from. You pitch outside of it. Yeah, exactly. So how do you then counter that back on them?
So that's what we've been working on, and that's what we will continue to work on leading into this next season. My biggest, I can usually get away from people most of the time. It's when they get on my back.
Yeah,
they'll get on my back. They'll body triangle me. They'll throw a power half in, and they'll just hang on there.
Yeah.
OAM did it. when I fought Mads Burnell, I thought he was gonna throw down with me. He ended up taking me down and holding on. He handcuffed me and just kind of held on. Didn't really hit me. I was giving Primus props because I'm like, at least when you were on my back, you were punching me, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
being combative. Yeah, being
Yeah.
combative.
yeah, I'm like, no, like he was trying to finish. I don't think OAM was trying to finish the fight whatsoever. He was kind of throwing the choke in a little bit, but I think he was just hanging on and surviving for dear life, you know. Yeah, so yeah, I don't want to give too many secrets out, but
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, every single day, that's the game plan is don't let a
Have you done
motherfucker hold me down.
have you done well financially with PFL? I don't want to know numbers,
Yeah,
but
I
have
mean,
you been compensated correctly in your opinion?
yeah, I was hoping after this, you know, my contract was up and it was in the middle of the season and I had just knocked out Patricky and I was kind of hoping they'd let me negotiate a little more and the number was still good enough that I signed a contract.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's all, I think you could, anybody can look that shit up nowadays, you know?
Yeah, you can. You
So,
can. Yeah, you can.
yeah, but, I'm doing all right. I'm surviving.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
well,
you know,
I'm trying to win that $1 million. That'll
Yeah.
definitely fucking help.
Definitely.
that usually does pretty well when you put 6 zeros on anything. But
Yeah.
so, you know, in the PFL, like, do you think that other promotions should be pushing harder against the UFC? We have a lot of fighters on the show that are like, okay, the UFC, we all know what's going on there, and they're trying to different promotions. Is PFL one that can go up there and actually take some of the screen share away?
I mean, I would hope so. I feel like the talent, there's so much talent out there that I feel like that the PFL is trying to be that next big powerhouse, and I feel like with them buying Bellator and then bringing these people in, I think they need to just start cranking out shows every other freaking weekend. We got
Yeah,
two,
you do.
you
You
know,
do. Yeah.
you got all the dudes you signed from PFL, all the dudes you signed from Bellator. Keep the tournament structured and just start cranking fucking shows
Yeah,
out.
you got
Man.
you're right, Clay, because that's the only way you're going to compete to have a competitor that's going to be on the air.
Because UFC is doing a fight every other weekend.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you know, it's like boom boom.
three
Like,
times a month. 3 times a month.
yeah, you know, I feel like I feel like in between, you know, I fight in April, I have May off. They need to throw a show together in May and do a show in May that's not part of the tournament. It's just a showcase. Here's the guys. Let's start cranking out shows and getting some hype and finding the talent because that's how you're gonna
I
find the
agree.
talent is
I
by
agree.
putting fighters in the fucking cage, you know.
Do you think that's happening now more in MMA too, though? Most guys now, before, you know, it was a thing. I think Francis Ngannou made the point for all of us when the heavyweight champion of the world goes, okay, I'm done with this shit. I'm not going to be here anymore. And now he's over at PFL, right? So it's like he arguably is the best heavyweight in the world, and he says, no, I'm not fighting in the UFC anymore because they're not compensating me correctly, and I don't want to do it anymore. And he leaves. Now, I'm not here to shit talk the UFC. I'm just saying that's a fact. That's exactly what he did. Now, what I'm saying is, do you think the shine of the UFC is a little bit less now, and more people are going, hey, I just want to make money. I want to make a living doing this.
Yeah, I think that's what every fighter wants is to be able to you know live a comfortable. Like I don't want to be no billionaire.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be comfortable, you know. I don't want to have to worry about like shit, am I gonna be able to pay my fucking bills this month?
Correct.
Like, and you know, that's a fucking stressful way to live when it's like, man, I gotta fight. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I did that for years, man. That's why when I first signed to the PFL, COVID happened and they canceled the whole season, and I'm like, I don't do nothing else, man.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
Yeah.
So I went over and I started boxing, and I did decent boxing, but the whole time the whole time I was boxing, I was still training mixed martial arts, getting ready for the season to start in 2021. You know, so but like that's how I make my money, and
Correct.
so yeah, just start cranking shows out, man. Give people the opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's start giving people the opportunity to get in there and do what it's our career, man. This is how we make a living. Like
Right.
give us the opportunity. Like and if I were to give it up and we're like, okay, I'm gonna get a job and work this job, it takes away from the time I'm spending training and putting work into
Exactly.
this to be able to put on shows for you guys.
Exactly.
Like I need the time
Yeah.
in the gym working to be able to show up and put on these banners like I do. If I don't spend the time in the gym, I'm not going to be as good. I'm not going to be as talented. I'm
Exactly.
not going to be, so yeah, I just like, let's start cranking them out, PFL. And I think that's I've been watching stuff online and a lot of people are like, man, I've been sitting here forever. A lot of the Bellator guys are like, why am I not fighting? Like, get me a fight. Just start cranking out some shows, baby.
Yeah, and they don't have to
Like
be. I
every
agree, because UFC did that with when they started doing it, the smaller version of the shows.
the Apex.
But they're still they're still cranking them out, and they still look good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Let's
the people,
just
the people that watch that
smaller
are going to watch
venues,
that.
Who cares? Crank those shows up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on the matter.
Yeah, absolutely. How are you in the press conference? Do you like doing that?
I feel like the press doesn't think I do, but I get a kick out of it sometimes. I just wish some of these guys ask the dumbest fucking question.
They do, yeah.
You should tell them.
I'm like that. Why would you ask that, bro?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it didn't. It barely even made sense. Like
I think that's the problem, Clay. I think that's the problem,
It
though,
is.
moving forward now with they need to make some kind of like stir with some stupid question to get any kind of clout in. Instead of asking you a common sense question, they're asking you something so stupid. Like I see it all the time. Like, oh, what do you think your chances are to win this fight? How about 100%, you fucking moron? Like what do you think my chances are?
I wouldn't have signed the contract if I didn't think I was gonna win. If I didn't think I had a chance, like.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. I hear that. I hear that one every time. It's like, oh my god.
I have a handful of guys. There's 2 or 3 guys that every year they interview me, and I'm like, thank you, dude. Like, just have a conversation with me about it, and let's like banter back and forth and make it a good time. And
Exactly.
like, when you're a robot, just like reading the question, and then I give you an answer, and you're like, cool, and then read the next question, like, bro. Have a conversation with me about it, man. Gee, like
I mean, we watch other sports and we watch how they market their sport. NFL, for example, you can't watch a Sunday night football game without knowing 3 or 4 players that they do a piece on, go to their house and talk to their mom. You learn about the guy that you would never know about. I don't understand why some of these organizations don't put the story on you guys, because you sat here with us for 30 minutes and told us more about your life than many of these guys would ever ask you ever or dream about asking. So why not actually get the fans to more personally get involved with you guys? Like, I think that there's so much more opportunity here that they're missing.
Yeah, the robot just reading your questions off and like have a nice day to me is like, I'm like, why are you a reporter? Like, why are you the guy talking to me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I could do your job better than you are doing your
That's
job.
right.
You know?
That's right.
But like I said, with PFL, there's a handful of guys that I really enjoy talking to, and the one guy has me on every single time. He's like, and me and him, I have good conversations. It's a conversation. It's not like a read this quick, and then I give you an answer, and you just okay, and then the next question pops out of your mouth. Like,
exactly.
like
I don't get it. I don't get
stuff
it either.
bothers
And
me.
it's always been my huge thing. And I understand just time constraints and stuff, but you can ask something. We hate hearing, I'm going to give 100. We're going to give 110% today. Like, how many times, like, we're sick of hearing it. We want to know about the actual athlete and about what makes them tick. Because, I mean, that's how the world is today. And I mean, you spending time with us today, we understand more about you than we did before. And
100%.
that makes us like you even more than we did before.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the point. I mean, getting to know people. And to me, in sports, like, it's one of those things that people invest so much time in just watching sports. It would be amazing to hear some life lessons from some of these people that we watch all the time, like yourself, that opened up so nicely about how you did about some really tough things in your life.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, that was a very traumatic, tough situation for me. And then on top of that, my wife was there with me. Like my other brother was there, and we all kind of dealt with this together, and we're still working. I'm still working through it today,
Absolutely.
but thank God for a heavy bag. There's nothing like taking a little aggression, a little depression out on a heavy bag for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, Clay, when's the next fight? Do you have that yet?
I'm hoping April when the tournament rolls around again.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
yeah, I've been so close so many times, and I think with the move and me being down here with my coach and just my attitude and my mindset, I really feel like motherfuckers better watch out because I'm coming.
Well, there's about just over 3 months till April, so you're gonna be training like hard in that time. We want to thank you so much, A, for joining us tonight and taking time out of all these things you have to do. Why don't you just maybe give a shout out to a couple extra people, and then maybe leave maybe a younger fighter with Clay's tip of encouragement for the week.
All right. Well, first I got to shout out my team at 4-7. Jason Martins, Brad Martinez, and my main man Trace Tuckett. He's been my number one training partner for a handful of years now, and I got to give a shout out to him. I got to shout out my boy Casey Gambrell. He's just always had my back and been that guy for me. Silver Lining, they sponsored me last year. By the way, Josie, I'm still waiting for that other check.
Set on the money.
Yeah. Other than that, man, the message I would leave is to just ignore the riffraff, ignore the bullshit, focus on the task at hand, which is winning fights and putting in the work, and train to dominate. Don't train to not lose. Train to win by domination.
Love
right?
that.
So
Love that.
that's what we're working towards, and that's what I feel like every fighter needs to be working towards is train to dominate. Don't just train. I'm not training to win. I'm training to end people, so and keep God close, keep your family closer, and put in the work.
Excellent. Clay, thank you so much for spending some time with Mark and myself tonight, and good luck in April when the season starts. You're for sure on that.
We'll be watching. We'll be watching, Clay.
Thank you.
We'll
hope you guys have a wonderful evening.
You too. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
All right. We'll see you.
Clay Collard on the show, everybody. PFL UFC veteran, on the road back.
Man, what do you think about PFL buying Bellator? Like that? Like no one thought that would happen.
I always thought Bellator was going to buy PFL.
Exactly. That's what everyone would have thought.
Yeah, but I guess no, we don't know until we know, right?
Yep.
And that's what happened. And it's great to have Clay on the show. I think next week we'll have Ray Seffo on the show, who's also the PFL president, 6-time world kickboxing champion. Yeah. I think he's on the show next week. So
excellent.
We'll just keep it rolling on the Me and Jesse podcast, everybody. And remember, subscribe. It's a very important process. It's really simple. You just go to our YouTube channel and you click a button and you subscribe.
Flashing on the screen the whole time. Shows you how to do it. Well, F1 season's officially over.
Over, yeah.
Yep, it's over.
Lewis Hamilton over.
Now he's a Ferrari.
A Ferrari, yeah.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
It is very interesting. And see, there's gonna be like 6 probably new drivers next year. It's wild. It's gonna be wild.
I'm glad there is, Jesse. I'm glad there's new drivers.
Yeah.
I think it's
Cadillac is gonna have an F1 team.
Crazy.
It is crazy. It is actually. There's going to be 11 instead of 10 teams. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on there. And then the NFL. How are the Raiders doing? I was off of my
Wow.
prediction.
Well, can I just? Yeah. So was the rest of the world. Rolling it at 2-11. Yeah, doing real well.
Yeah.
You know what amazes me about the Raiders is that they actually believe
Do they show up to the
fra-
game the next week?
No, they're thinking that they can get the first round draft pick, and I'm like, no one.
Well, yeah.
Do you not yeah, but no one cares. Do you understand the first round draft pick in the NFL never plays the next season?
Well, I
Like,
mean, yeah, it depends.
If you
unless
get
there's
a
those special
quarterback,
guys,
which we
but
need,
yeah.
you can't have a rookie quarterback in the
Unless
NFL.
he's super special. But yeah, like I
Yeah.
mean, I get like it is one of those things. Like it's not your
Yeah.
thing, but it is their thing now because
Mhm.
you'd have nothing else to play for, so might as well try to tank it. But
Yeah, I think you use that with your fans and try to convince your fans that, oh, we got the first round draft choice, but first round draft choice, they say it's Shedeur Sanders, like that could play. He couldn't play in the NFL next year to start if his life depended on it. So he's already making $10 million a year in college. So I don't know what kind of contract you'd have to offer this kid to play in the NFL,
Right.
but he definitely would not be a starter in year one. He definitely would not.
oh, okay, well, yeah. I mean, there's different things for that. But if you pick whoever's selected first overall gets more money, so it is one of those things. But yeah, I mean, nowadays I think you want, no matter what sport it is, if you're drafted first overall, you expect that kid to play the next season.
Yeah, but but a quarterback wise, me and you both know that doesn't happen as much,
I know.
especially with quarterbacks.
Just who's going to be ahead of them? Like that's the other thing. Like, yeah,
I know.
I don't know.
I know.
There's
It's so gross. Like I literally didn't even watch the game yesterday.
yeah.
Like I was like, no, I was like, oh, someone asked me to do I was like, yeah, I'll go do that. And that's unlike me, but I can't even watch it. I think it's a disgrace. I think poor Max Crosby and Bowers, the kid, the tight end. We have good pieces. We just don't have a good team. So we have pieces. There's pieces, but they're sporadic. They're not together. And as we both know, I think the coach is over his head now. I think he's shown that this is way bigger than he is. And so we'll see what the Raiders do in off season. We'll see if Brady really does own a portion of this team.
Yeah.
If he has something to say about it. Seattle's still in kind of the mix, aren't they not?
They're in first in their division.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like get in.
good
They're
for-
8-5.
good for
like,
that.
Yeah,
Good for that. Good for them.
it's been a rough
Yeah.
go. Nothing really going on, but they won 4 in a row. So that's
Exactly.
That's good.
Exactly.
The guys like the Lions. Maybe it's time to go back to Detroit, Mark.
No, I can't go back. Can't do it, man. I made one switch in my life, and I'm never going back.
Yeah, I
and
respect that.
And I hope deep down they do win the Super Bowl, the Lions. As long as KC doesn't win, I'm happy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, KC, Eagles, Lions. Like you're looking at these teams, and you're like, okay, and the Bills. Bills are also playing great.
Yeah, but Bills lost last week. I don't know what happened, but they did. So
it's it's a weird season. Anyway,
very weird. Very weird.
lots of things. Hockey. I the only thing is like actually kind of exciting is the 4-team tournament happening in February over Montreal and Boston, which finally they're doing something like the Olympic thing again that we actually care about in North America. Don't put it in some other weird country that we can't watch it. Like let's make sure we can
at 4 a.m. Yeah,
exactly. Like let's watch this. Like we actually care, so let's do it. And they're doing it in Boston, which I like. And then that Montreal Boston thing, like back and forth, is pretty smart. I think that's
you
great.
even say you say Boston in my house. My wife goes mental.
I
to
know.
this day.
Yeah.
She's so hardcore Montreal that you say the word Boston. Listen,
What
when
we
had
I got some Boston
we had,
paraphernalia here right now.
yeah.
Here's some.
You even say the
It's a
word
shirt.
Boston in our house, she goes nuts. She goes nuts, and I start laughing all the time because she just hates. Like I hate the Leafs, she hates Boston.
Yeah,
you know?
I get it. I
So,
get it
yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Actually, when I was in Boston, they hate Montreal too. Like they hate.
They do.
They
They do.
Canadians. They don't. The city, whatever. But they hate.
Yeah.
They hate the Canadian. Like they
Yeah.
don't like them. It's funny. Like I love seeing those. That rivalry is
Right.
pretty awesome.
I am so down with rivalries, and I saw my Michigan Wolverines last week beat Ohio State, and then Michigan goes and throws the flag in the middle of the field, right? And then a riot breaks out. And I started to think to myself, listen, all you people from Ohio, you bunch of pussies. The flag got dropped in the middle of your own stadium. You're ranked number 2 in all of college football. Michigan, who has been injured all year long, quarterback injured. They got this kid that they just took off the bench that literally just got out of chemotherapy, and then puts it on Ohio State, beats Ohio State. Michigan player comes and plants the flag in the middle of the field. Ohio State goes crazy. riot breaks out. And I thought to myself, Ohio State, why didn't you show that kind of passion and that kind of vigor during the game? Because you sure didn't do it. You did it after the game, but not during the game.
Ouch.
And Michigan put it on you guys, which I was very happy about.
Yeah. Well, again, like it's going into Christmas now. And,
Yes.
this is like January comes back. That's when hockey actually matters again. This first few months, this first few months is so useless to me.
100%. 100%.
I want the season shortened to 60 games. I want a 3-point win system put in like they do in soccer, the biggest sport in the world. And,
we forget that.
Yeah. You think they figure something out there? Yes, they did. I would also love relegation. But I don't know, that won't happen in North America. But
that's not in hockey. No.
Yeah, I would love it so much because we actually have enough hockey teams to do it. So
easily.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's a little different. I get it, but I also don't get it because I see that much bigger leagues around the world do it, like the Premier League in England.
Yeah, they do it.
And why can't we? But anyway,
shortened
season. Let's start
down
smaller.
Below you go.
Shortened season. Let's make the seasons shorter because this is too much. But really, January, then we start to know really where things are going to lie.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And don't forget, everybody, our great sponsors at Crystal Glass, your clear choice for all your glass needs. Call 310-GLASS or go to crystalglass.ca today.
Until next time, everybody. Thanks so much to Clay for joining us tonight. Good luck in the next season at PFL. That's which way is it? This way. That's Mark. You're over here now.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And then, I'm Jesse.
And that's Jesse Martineau, everybody.
This has been the Me and Jesse podcast, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you tune in every Monday night, 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern, at YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/Me and Jesse. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.